Welcome back to the Bearded Signal, the podcast where common sense gets a microphone and billionaires don't get to hide behind firewalls or tax shelters. I'm your host, JP Dunphy, and today I'm going to be pulling back the curtain on a dangerous alliance, at least in my personal estimation here, and disagree if you want, but I'm talking about the one that's happening between the obscenely wealthy and unchecked technology. So this isn't really about the future. It's really about right now and a world where truth can be edited like a YouTube clip, where elections can be swayed by a billion-dollar algorithm, and where those with the most money can actually buy both power and perception. Now, we're going to be diving into the story of two juggernauts, right? The whole wealth and artificial intelligence, and how they formed a mutual admiration society that also threatens democracy, equality, and the concept of shared reality. This isn't just about data privacy or fair taxes. This is really about control and of the things that really matter to us, things like the news and our choices and even our emotions. So today's episode, I'm kind of titling The Rich, Wired, and Dangerous: How Billionaires Broke the System and Rewrote Reality. So with that, let's light this signal. So let's start with a fundamental truth that most media won't say out loud. Billionaires are the biggest welfare recipients in the country. Don't believe me? Just look at the GOP's bill. It's overwhelmingly, beyond overwhelmingly, going to the richest 1% at the end. And corporations for that matter, but still, super insanely freaking rich people. All right? Now, only their checks are really larger, their loopholes are legal, and their PR firms really make it so they look like heroes instead of grifters. But let's just really break this down to exactly what this is. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg, they love to talk about hustle and grit, but they owe their entire empires on government-funded rocket fuel. Elon's company received nearly $5 billion in subsidies. Amazon's warehouses benefit from tax-free zones, and Tesla earns more billions selling emissions credits and credits created by public policy. Now, meanwhile, they push a narrative that demonizes poor people that are receiving SNAP benefits or housing assistance. But think about the irony here. They rail against socialism, while their own business suckled at the very teat of public subsidies and bailouts. And that's about where, like, tax avoidance, right? And let's face it, there's a lot of tax avoidance that happens here. And one of the reasons why the Trump administration, on both of its terms, has gone out of its way to literally get rid of as many IRS tax enforcers as possible is because the rich cheat on their taxes all the frickin' time. All the time. But, again, they don't want you to know that. They want you to think that these people are only there to really, they raise themselves up by their bootstraps, even though they received much more money than any of us could ever even dream of from the government in help. So the IRS has admitted that it doesn't audit billionaires with the same kind of scrutiny as everyday workers. Now you might be asking why. But the answer is very simple. Because billionaires have teams of lawyers and lobbyists to make sure that their tax code works for them. Now, from offshore trusts to Delaware corporations to carried interest loopholes, the ultra-wealthy live in a completely different economic reality from the rest of us. The game with rules that they wrote themselves. And one of their wealth is mainly earned through more wealth that they can just grow with these loopholes, while average families basically live paycheck to paycheck. By latest estimations and showings, is some over 60% of the daily people that work today live paycheck to paycheck, which is insane. All right? We are the wealthiest country in the world, and yet somehow we have more people living paycheck to paycheck. Most don't even have $500 put away for a just-in-case fund. Like, it's horrible. But the thing is, we've built a system where wealth doesn't just buy privilege, it buys immunity. Let's just be completely honest. Donald Trump lived this life. During his entire time when he was not president, where he should have been prosecuted fast, quick, and easy. He basically delayed. Why? Because he has money to do so. He got sued and prosecuted for sexual harassment and had to pay over $10 million to it. If that's nothing, that's a drop in the bucket for him. But let's also not forget the pandemic, right? Back in 2019, 2020, 2021, when all this stuff was kind of happening and Main Street businesses were left scrambling while Wall Street got trillions in quantitative easing. All right, so all that quantitative easing just went straight to the main people that really needed it. But the mom and pop shops, they got fucked left and right. All right, airlines that spent years buying back their own stocks got rescued by the government while laying off workers. Amazon saw record profits, and yet their CEO went to space. Like, that's not capitalism. It's kleptocracy with a Gucci suit, and it looks good, don't get me wrong, but the bottom line is we are footing the bill. All right? That's kind of the... It drives me nuts, because I don't know about you, but I would rather have my money go to the things I want to do, which is healthcare for literally everyone. Why? We're already subsidizing and socialized healthcare for everyone that is in office. They don't pay a damn thing for their healthcare. Our tax dollars pay for their healthcare. Why the hell shouldn't we get the benefit of that as well? But let's just shift gears for a second here. Let's shift it, taking off that for just a second. We'll get back to it, don't worry, and go instead to the whole techno mirage. All right, the promise of artificial intelligence being the next great revolution. But the real question is, revolution for who? All right, you've heard every single headline that AI will replace jobs, that it'll cure disease, that AI will write your term papers. But here's what they don't say. AI is also rewriting the truth, spreading propaganda, and selling your personal data in real time. So most so-called AI breakthroughs aren't just algorithms on steroids, all right? They are something beyond what most people can even understand. They don't understand. They predict based on patterns scraped from things like your posts and purchases and preferences. And the real question becomes, who is building these systems? Who's the company owned by? And you guessed it, billionaires. All right, OpenAI, Google DeepMind, Meta, Amazon's Bedrock, all these compete to monopolize your attention, your creativity, and most importantly, your labor. But what happens when deepfakes can actually impersonate world leaders? What happens when fake news and synthetic bullshit just floods TikTok and Instagram faster than fact checkers can even keep up? Like, for instance, on my personal channel, not this channel, I came across this thing several times in my time, like taking on YouTube and things of that nature, was one of Donald Trump, where supposedly he said way back in a People magazine interview that if I was going to run, I would run as a Republican because they will believe any bullshit they're sold. Now, there is a bit of irony in that because, ironically, that's exactly what they do. But that's not just the right, that's also the left. That's almost everyone that takes most of their stuff from their little media bubble. But the bottom line of it is that entire thing, I posted it and I thought, like, this is actually true. This is kind of BS. Like, you should really listen to this. Only to find out, and rightfully so, by a good friend of mine who literally said, JP, you know that's fake, right? And I went, it is? So I literally took it, popped it in, and searched for this and did the quote, and I was like, holy crap, it is fake. This sucks. But the bottom line of it, if I didn't have someone to tell me, hey, dude, that's really not what this is, I probably would still be living in this moment of thinking of how are Republicans this damn stupid to not know what their own big guy said. But again, that's the whole benefit or problem with this, right? So we really don't have to imagine, because it is already happening. All right, in 2024, a fake Biden robocall told voters to stay home and not vote. In 2025, a political ad in Arizona used deepfake AI to fake a crime surge. Misinformation is no longer grassroots. It's literally industrial at this point. And the same corporations making these tools are also training governments, selling surveillance software, and influencing foreign policy. All right, it's not innovation, it's definitely manipulation on a planetary scale. So AI is being used to suppress labor organizing, to automate hiring and firing for that matter, and to create dystopian social credit systems everywhere abroad. And if you think it's only a problem in China, you really need to think again. The seeds are being sown right here in the United States right now. So you could think of it as kind of the techno-feudalist future, right? So if the 20th century was the age of the corporation, then the 21st century is the age of the platform. And platforms don't just host content, all right? They curate, prioritize, censor, and sell it on a normal basis, which is one of the reasons why I hate actually doing this, because on one sense or another, you are probably getting this because you listen to the things that I am talking about here. But this might be considered a far left thing, or it might be something to piss off some people on the right. Whatever it is here to piss you off. Most people get most engaged not only by things that make them feel happy, but the things that make them feel pissed off and engaged. It's all about engagement at the end of the day, right? So you may think at the end of it all that you have free speech, but what you actually have is free reach until the algorithm tells you otherwise. All right, so bottom line, welcome to digital feudalism. All right, the content creators are the peasants, the platform owners are lords, and AI is the castle gatekeeper. So you post on YouTube, they take about 45% of the ad revenue. You sell on Amazon, they charge you 15% just to use. Oh, pardon me 1 second. Let me pause that for a second. I'll get back to that caller later. Where was I? Oh, all right. So you sell on Amazon. They charge you 15% just to list it. You tweet, sorry, X, and the algorithm decides if you're worth surfacing at all, right? And by the way, I don't apologize for not calling it X. Probably if I did, I'd call it an excrement. It's still Twitter to me. So you can hate me, all you X owners, and sorry, Elon, if you really give a rat's ass about that. Maybe should have thought of a better name or just kept it what it was. But nope, you got to put your mark on everything. So good for you. Anyway, because these platforms dominate every aspect of digital life, from commerce to communication and even healthcare at this point, they now govern as much as any elected official. All right? Their modern policies are law. All right? Their data collection is surveillance, and their outages are infrastructure crisis. But there's no voting out these lords, right? There's no term limits. It's just terms of service. So the platforms are global, and that means that their influence stretches way beyond elections, revolutions, pandemics, and even wars at this point. So again, I've talked about this in other episodes. You need to just think of it as you are a product. All right? Do you ever wonder why TikTok knows exactly what you're thinking? Or why you keep getting ads for anxiety meds after a breakup? That's really not a coincidence. That's surveillance capitalism. Why every time I talk to my wife about how, maybe we need to look up a different dog food for Scooby-Doo, my dog who has cancer. And suddenly it's, this food is fantastic for dogs that have cancer. I'm like, I texted this to my wife. Didn't even say it over the phone. And then there are things you talk about. You talk about something with someone, and suddenly they're like, and suddenly Amazon knows exactly what you're looking for. It's ridiculous. And it's obvious surveillance. Obvious. Hardcore, in-your-face surveillance. And yeah, this founder's card. I got this little guy because it's kind of fun. It's not a credit card, but it's metal. It's kind of fun. Anyway, sorry, got off topic. But bottom line is everything you do online, every scroll, every tick, every hover, every pause is data. And that data then gets streamed through AI models that decide what you want to see next. What do you want to buy next? And who do you even date? How do you even vote? Like, it knows all this stuff. All right? Companies don't just want your money anymore. They really want your attention, your identity, and your behavior. And they want to predict you. Or at least to nudge you. Kind of like guide you down this one. All right. For instance, I was going through a little bit of a doom scroll on YouTube just the other day. I love watching people play games for some reason. Things like IGP and InSim. Like I love watching these guys just play. I get some strange enjoyment out of it, probably because I don't play anymore, and I could probably be playing instead of watching these guys. But I don't know. I find their stuff very entertaining. But somehow, I do that. I watch them play something like Phasmophobia and the latest updates on it, which, by the way, is an amazing game. If you don't play it, you should play it. It's a really fun game, and I think those developers deserve a little bit of love. But I'm watching that, and next thing I know, I get ghost videos and things that have to do with phasmophobia, ghosts, things of that nature. And then it became a rabbit hole. But the bottom line is, AI is making it easier than ever, and it's really not about selling projects or products or ideas anymore. It's about shaping your preferences and creating a digital cage that you probably don't even see. All right, so even think about this, like your healthcare data from your smartwatch, your online purchases, and your browsing habits can all be turned into a psychological profile and sold. Now, granted, one of the reasons why I prefer Apple is that they do that internally, yes, but they don't export it, which I personally like. That's a big reason why I'm a big fan of Apple and why I have nothing but Apple products outside of my Steam Deck. So we've handed over our most intimate selves to billionaires and said, go ahead and optimize me. So here's the dirty little secret to this. Chaos is definitely profitable. Think of everything that Trump is doing right now. And that whole idea of flooding the zone is part of this. And it's not just Trump. It's not just politics. Because if it wasn't for this, you wouldn't even be talking about politics. I wouldn't even be talking about politics. Right? When I'm talking about how Tesla had a massive nosedive and all these things, like you wouldn't talk about it unless it was chaotic and there's something to talk about. So, 3 study basically showed that deepfakes spread 6 times faster than real news on a social platform. And why? Because, like I said earlier, rage sticks. Rage gets you clicks. And confusion converts people. All right, social media algorithms don't care what you see is true. They only care if you stay longer. And the longer you scroll, the more ads you see, the richer they get. And AI is the perfect accomplice because it can generate fake news articles, fake tweets, fake profiles, and even fake protest videos, all designed to spark outrage and erode trust. And it's not just a threat to facts. All right, like I can't tell you how many times I saw these dangerous protests happening in LA. I have family in LA. It's not dangerous. It's not that. There's, of course, 1 or 2 outliers that always happen in every protest. It's bound to happen. There are agitators everywhere. But they act like it's everywhere, and it's not. It's insane. So, again, it's not just about a threat to facts. It's about a threat to democracy. Because when people stop believing in shared truth, authoritarianism fills that void. That's why you still have people that literally think 2020 was stolen. There are people on the left that think 2024 was stolen. But the difference is we're not letting it take us because we look at the facts that happen and say, okay, it doesn't really seem to add up. Obviously, we can't dispute this because we don't have any truth to the opposite. We can have feelings and say that. And likewise, you can have feelings that, Trump actually won the 2020 election and understand that he didn't. And that's okay. You're allowed to disagree on things. But as something that was said so many times, facts don't care about your feelings. You can feel that it was unjust what happened in 2020 or 2024 or 2022, but that doesn't change the fact that that's what happened. All right? The 2024 and 2025 elections saw more AI-generated disinformation than any other election in U.S. history. All right? Voter suppression is disguised as a satire. All right? False quotes attributed to candidates, videos edited to make protests look like riots. All right? And we are here entering a post-truth era. And the rich are really profiting from this confusion. None of the people that are under this, everyone making under $400,000 a year, this isn't helping you. It's not helping me. I don't make that kind of money. So As I say in every episode, you might be asking, what can we do? All right. Deep breath. This isn't a part where we just give up. This is a part where we get up. All right. We have power, not as the consumer, but as citizens. So first, you need to demand tax justice. All right. End the carried interest loopholes. Implement a wealth tax. Everyone that talks about the quote unquote glory days of this country, they're talking about a time when wealth inequality was basically non-existent between the workers and their superiors. All right, that gap was practically non-existent. The people that were making, I think it was like I can't even remember the exact thing. It was something like $2 million or more. Everything over $2 million that they made was taxed some 70 to 90%, depending on where you've landed on it. And everyone talks about that as the golden age. That's when the most innovation happened. All these great things happened. Housing boom, jobs boom, all these great things. Post World War II was an amazing time. Maybe not for civil rights or things, but that's what everyone talks about when they try and talk about, quote unquote, make America great again. But the bottom line is that's not what's happening now. You're working harder and getting less for your hard work than ever before. So bottom line is you need to require things like transparency and offshore banking. Make the millionaires actually pay what they freaking owe. Second, you also need to regulate AI now. All right, mandate closures for synthetic content is a must. Create an AI version of the FDA. An independent body that certifies safe and ethical tech use, but fund public interest tech projects. All right. The bottom line is, again, this is maybe just the way I think about it. I think the government should work for us. Our money is going into it. Why doesn't it work the fuck for us? That's insane that it doesn't. We are the wealthiest nation in the freaking history of the globe. And yet we have more people living paycheck to paycheck. We are the only developed country that does not guarantee healthcare to its citizens. And there's a reason, because billionaires made it this way. And they bought politicians, and politicians are making so much more money than they should while they were in office. There should be a time when public service was something that's just randomly given to people, and you didn't make too much money. It was put enough, like make it the 170 or whatever it is for a year. But term limits, make it even shorter. Make justices and all these things, like stuff should be more fluent to actually show what's happening now. So another thing you need to do is boost digital literacy. All right, kids should learn how to spot a deepfake before they learn trigonometry, in my opinion. All right, adults should know the difference between journalism and clickbait. I would also say support tech worker unions. If people building AI organize, they can actually slow or stop unethical practices from the inside. All right? And you should also support independent media. All right? Journalism is the immune system of democracy. And right now, it's seriously under attack by these massive corporations, things that call themselves news but aren't. I'm looking at you, Fox. You keep saying Fox News, Fox News, Fox News, and yet every time you go to court, you say, oh, we're not a news organization, we're an entertainment. So, come on. And same thing with CNN, same thing with MSNBC, OANN. All these places are literally the worst possible places to get your information from. There's so many other options out there, things that actually tell you, I can't remember the name of it. I'll find it and I'll put it in the description for this, but it's things like news apps that give you the conservative side, the center, and the left all in one go, and they literally have it color coded, red, gray, and blue, so you know exactly where it's coming from, and you can get the same news from different outlets and know what the hell's going on better. All right, and last but not least, vote like your reality depends on it, because frankly, it does. All right, we've reached a crossroads. One path leads to a society where truth is collective, wealth is accountable, and technology serves the people. And the other path is oligarchy by algorithm. Truth is a product, and people are data. But if you made it this far, it means you still care. You still believe that we can choose the first path. So here's what I ask. share this episode, talk about it, argue about it, rage about it. Because silence is exactly what they're counting on. And just remember, you're not a product. You're not a pawn. You are the signal. And we are the ones who decide what kind of world we want to build. This has been The Beard Signal. Subscribe, leave a review, stay loud, keep that signal strong. Thanks so much for your time.